Apple, on Tuesday, unveiled a few new products, including 2 new Apple Watches and 2 new iPads, for which we have the complete information for at digitaltrends.com. However, the response to the iOS 14 update and toward its Apple One service bundle has received a bit of a backlash from 2 very different groups. The iOS 14 updates are rolling out today. This is great for end users because you get to see new features and new look, and developers can utilize those to create unique experiences within their apps. However, developers apparently only received 24 hours notice that the update was rolling out. And since developers usually get a week to work on their apps before an update rolls out, that's left a lot of them very unhappy, as they've voiced repeatedly on Twitter. So don't be surprised if some of your apps are a little wonky for you if you update to iOS 14. It's not necessarily the app developer's fault. Now, as for Apple One, it's a new subscription service that bundles things like Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and others all together for a lower price. Well, Spotify has made a statement in response to Apple One, accusing Apple of anti-competitive behavior and asking for governmental regulators to investigate their practices, essentially saying the bundles favor Apple products over competitors in the App Store. Apple, of course, disagrees, and this adds to a number of anti-competitive claims that it is already battling. You can read more about all of this and, of course, the products themselves at digitaltrends.com. As we head toward the U.S. election, which is under 2 months away, social media platforms continue to battle misinformation campaigns. The latest comes from a report in the Washington Post regarding a group called Turning Point Action and their behavior on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So what's different about this group is that it's not your typical bot army. Instead, it's a pro-Trump organization attempting to skirt algorithms that identify repeated posts, like you would see on Facebook and Twitter, where they are clearly copied and pasted bot army behavior. But instead, they are paying teenagers from Arizona to post from their own accounts. So Turning Point Action would direct these teenagers where to go online and where to comment. They would then post false information, such as discrediting coronavirus numbers or anti-Dr. Fauci messages or making blatantly erroneous claims about ballots going missing. But to avoid detection by Facebook and Twitter, Turning Point would provide a shared online document to copy messaging from, then tell the teenagers to edit the beginning and ending of the message so as to avoid spam detection by Twitter and Facebook. In total, the Washington Post says this campaign was going on for months and generated thousands of posts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram before being uncovered. Now, all of the sites are removing accounts as they discover involvement, but it's clearly just the tip of the iceberg as far as what went on. So we're going to be seeing a lot more from this. It's definitely an interesting look at how in-depth misinformation campaigns are right now. I suggest reading the entire article at the Washington Post. After Xbox gave us the pricing, pre-sale, and release dates for their upcoming consoles, it's now Sony's turn as they have an event today, September 16th at 1 p.m. Pacific. So, what do we know so far? Well, like the Xbox, we know there's at least 2 different versions of the PlayStation 5. There's the standard version and an all-digital PS5. We know what they look like. We know there are new controllers. We know that the PS5 will use AMD chips and be able to support 3D audio, 8K graphics, and ray tracing. So what do we want to see today? Pricing and release date. That's what we should be getting from this event for sure, since Xbox is already ahead of the game on that. What we're hoping for is to also learn more about what games will be available for the launch, whether it's first-party or third-party games. Could we see more of the Spider-Man spin-off featuring Miles Morales? Possibly. But could Sony go through all of this trouble and then show us basically nothing? Possibly. However, we'll be restreaming the event right here and providing analysis and reaction as soon as any information is released. So hit subscribe and read up on the PS5 before it all happens right there at digitaltrends.com. If you want to be one of the first people in the world to fly an all-electric vertical takeoff and landing air taxi, you can put your deposit down now, but it's kind of expensive and you might have to wait a few years. So Volocopter is a German startup scheduled to go public in 2022, but they've been making news in the air taxi realm for a few years now with their vehicle tests and their overall goal of establishing landing pads, or as they call them, voloports, that could be built on top of existing buildings in cities. The Volocopter vehicle itself is called the 2X, and it kind of looks like a helicopter with 18 rotors on it and a battery that provides a flight time of about 30 minutes or 17 miles. It's designed to carry 1 passenger at a time who would be able to essentially skip over the traffic across town. As far as registering for the flights, you can reserve yours now for the price of 300 euros, or about 350 bucks for a 15-minute flight. So it's not the most economical option, but there are only 1,000 pre-sale registrations available. As far as when and where you get to fly, the company thinks it's going to be 2 to 3 years, and they don't know which cities will have volocopters to start with, although they've said they are talking to a lot of municipalities. Seems like mostly a bragging right of sorts right now, but you can read more about it at digitaltrends.com.